Welcome. We're live, I believe, to the fourth of the Goodwin boxing live shows. I'm just going to bring up now, so we've got the interactions. So please do fire away any interactions you've got throughout the show. Bear with me 2 seconds. Anything that you want to fire at us. So this week we've got with us, to my right, JP Smith of Boxing Luton, which is a website covering boxing in the area. We've got Steve, and we've got Liam Conroy, boxer. So we'll come on to you gentlemen shortly. In the meantime, we shall start off with you, Steve. So, what's going on with Goodwin boxing this week? You've had a busy one.
We've had a busy one. We've had 2 new signings. Last week we announced the signing of Joel McIntyre, and this week we can announce the signing of former Southern Area champion Liam Shinkwin, who's making a return under Don Charles. And also the exciting signing of Frank Buglioni, former world title challenger, and he signed management with us for 3 years last Thursday, and that's very, very exciting. And obviously we also were involved in the Hayes show, which I know we're going to come out onto later on, which we'll discuss in greater detail. But they are the 2 new signings, and we're really excited about what's lying ahead, and we've nearly finalised a couple of extra title fights for July, which we should be able to announce in the next few weeks.
Excellent. So you've already announced quite a few for the July show.
Yeah, it's great.
John O'Donnell.
John O'Donnell to Mark Moocher. I'm not sure whether Moocher goes ahead or pulls out. He's pulled out John O'Donnell once. I'm not sure he wants to fight. I spoke to Chris Sanagar, which we'll try and speak again tomorrow, but I'm not sure Moocher wants to do it. But we'll have to see.
You've got Waddy on there.
Waddy Camacho, Danny Cousins. We've got that. He's on the Ballingall 16th show. Potentially for Kay Prosper, pending his opponent complying with board regulations. So that could potentially be a massive, massive fight as well. You've got Portsmouth, you've got Michael Devine Floyd more for the Southern area. That's July 9th, yeah. And we've got Jack Morris and Kelvin Young, Southern area, as well as some, on the 16th, some fantastic challenge belt fights. John McCallum, who's on next week. He fights Dalton Miller, who's also on next week. That's going to be a bit explosive, so make sure you tune in. John McCallum always causes a bit of controversy. That's going to be a great fight.
He doesn't give his view to himself, does he?
No, so wait for next week. And Justin Menzies comes back after 2 years ban. He's coming on the week after, and he takes on Ryan Toms. He's gone straight in the deep end.
Oh, right.
And he's only 2-0, and he wants to go straight with Ryan Toms.
Ryan Toms, who challenged
the Upton, yeah, and he's also a former Southern Area champion.
Yeah.
That's a big ask, but Justin wants to, and that will be an amazing fight. That July 16th show is absolutely packed to the rafters. Fights. Josh Kennedy's fighting for a challenge belt. It's just going to be fully explosive. So that's great. But the 2 signings are the big news from this week, and obviously our boxers featuring on the Hay show, which we'll obviously come on to.
So can you talk a little bit more about the Frank Buglioni signing? Because clearly that's a marquee name.
Yeah.
How does that come about? So someone who's fought for a world title against Fedor Chudinov. How does it come about that somebody of that magnitude?
Well, I'd never met Frank. We'd exchanged some stuff on Twitter about a year ago when he was going to fight Lee Markham, when Lee Markham was with us, and he was at that time under the Warren organisation. But I went to the gym, where he trains with John Charles. I'm really good friends with his trainer. We were taking down one of our lads to spar down there, and I had a chat with Frank, not about signing with us or anything, just a general chat. We got on really, really well. And then a week later, I got a call from Don Charles saying Frank would be interested in coming and talking to us, and he came up and we done it. And he said I asked him why he came to see me, and he just said, I can see what you're doing with fighters, and you're getting fighters big opportunities at whatever level they are, and he believes that I can do the same for him, and I believe I can as well.
So I'm interested in that one. How does that work then in terms of, he's a big name, so he may well be, he's spoken about going after Hosea Burton for the British title.
Mm-hmm.
So being with you is possibly advantageous in the fact that he hasn't got the politics of TV channels. So he's not with Sky, he's not with Box Nation, he's not with Channel 5. He can go off.
And that's our plan. I mean, the thing was, he's chosen, he's chosen not to be with a single promoter, and he wants to keep his options open. And my job is I'm the manager. I'm not saying that he'll never fight on any of our shows, but there's no plans to do so at the moment. Right. I'm not saying he won't if we need it, but that's not what side. I'm there predominantly as a manager of all my boxers. The fact that there are shows that we're involved with is really a bonus to them to help to build them. But with Frank, that probably isn't going to be needed. at this stage, and I will just navigate him through, and we're going to be freelance, and we will go to wherever suits us best.
Yeah.
And whatever, and we believe we can negotiate and build better purses for him doing it this way.
Excellent. All right. So we had a few interactions already. There's a few David Hay ones that have been fired in. So Brad Rogers, thank you. What do you think of the Hay show? We'll come on to that shortly. Robin Deakin, evening Robin. Liam Shinkwin, good talented boxer, boxing twice, defo could win a British title.
Let's hope so.
Davey Stebbs, is Hay really justifying his ranking when fighting bums? We can have a look at that later on, I suspect. Yeah, excellent. So that's what we've got so far. We'll come on to the other interactions shortly. So we'll do a review then. Let's have a look at, obviously, the biggest one from the weekend, David Hay. So should we start with you then, Liam? Let's get your thoughts on Hay versus the Cobra and everything that goes along with it.
It was a joke, really, wasn't it? To be honest, the geezer was just looking for a way out right from the start. I think the whole show was the fights that you didn't see would have been good to show on the TV. Floyd Moore, always a good fighter, wasn't his best on Saturday, but he's usually exciting. And you had Mullender Markham, was always going to be a war. Should have got airtime, should have shown the whole thing. But the fights that did show were just rubbish, really, weren't they? To be honest.
Yeah. So you had Joe Fournier against someone.
Joe Fournier is just
frankly,
Joe Fournier is just buying his way through boxing. He was offered other fighters. He was offered British journeymen who would have gone there to fight him and would have took him on, had to go at him, and he just got a big fat slob from wherever he was from, just come there and fall over for it.
Don't mention words about him. Yeah, Joe Fournier, the millionaire club owner from America. Yeah,
flying on his private jet to France the next day and all that business.
What a win! JB, you were watching it from home. What do you make of it?
It wasn't great to watch. I'm not sure how good it was for boxing. The David Hay fight was, I thought, 1 or 2 rounds it would be finished. You know.
Can we get subtitles up? I'm struggling.
Can we get the girl back to punching again? The David Hay fight, I mean, a lot of it was just drama, really. The whole thing, I wanted to see Kay fight, and there was a lot of problems there. There was an hour and a half to go, and he could have fought, and it just didn't show it, and there was dubbing problems. It just seemed a bit of a mess, to be honest. And I think I'm just glad I wasn't paying for it, to be honest. But the Hay, I don't know. It's difficult to know how to judge David Hay after that fight. Is he going to go on and fight somebody like Anthony Joshua? Is he going to be as strong as he was before? Don't know about that. I think the Shannon Briggs fight aside, we need to see him fight somebody decent after that.
The bits you did see, he didn't look his usual Hay self. His sharp, stylish boxer. He looked like he didn't look conditioned like he usually does. His body didn't look the same, you know. Yeah. Even when he knocked the geezer out, he was square on his feet, either side, hitting him on the side of the head like a pub fight. It wasn't like he was clinical like he usually is. Yeah, didn't look as good.
Okay, so aside from the main event and the circus that goes around Shannon Briggs, obviously Steve, you had a high involvement in the undercard.
Yeah.
How was it from your perspective then with the lads you had involved?
It was good to get them. Good to get them to fight at the O2. They all enjoyed the experience. There was a little bit of trouble behind the scenes. It was touch and go whether K-Cross we even got to fight, which wasn't great. But overall, I think I can echo a bit of what Liam said, that the Mullender Markham fight was fantastic for boxing, and the fact that it wasn't shown live didn't do 3 million viewers that they got, in my opinion, it doesn't do boxing a lot of favours. I don't know who made the choice, why the choice was made, but there is no doubt. I think if they showed some of the, if they
had the potential to be a good show, didn't it?
Yeah, I think if you put the right fights on the undercard, then I think people knew what the David Hay and the Shannon Briggs fights were bringing to the table. I think everybody knew that, but the fact that people at home got to see the Joe Fournier fight, which I don't think got a lot of people. I don't think people really particularly enjoyed that fight.
You were turning on to watch boxing for the first time, trying to see what boxing was about on TV, and it put you off for life, wasn't it?
And I think if it had been shown, and you'd shown a bit of the Prosper fight, and you'd have shown, I mean, the heavyweight fight, which was Nick Webb, which wasn't my guy, that was a great fight.
It was a great fight because Nick Webb was so bad during it. In my view.
But I mean, it was fun. But it would have been brilliant for TV.
Yeah.
So you got Nick Webb, the Mullender fight, the Floyd Moore fight, the K Prosper fight were great fights.
All good fights.
And Ollie Patterson and Dan Keenan were still enjoyable fights to watch. So the issue for me would be boxing out to 3 million viewers on free to air, which I think what David Hay's done is fantastic. And then you deliver that when that was available.
Yeah.
And that to me,
Even the way it was presented, the two blokes that were supposed to be presenting it didn't seem like they had a clue what was going on.
Yeah.
And even the voices weren't syncing. Like you said, the woman that was introducing Leone was saying about a 12-round fight when it wasn't, and stuff like that. It was laughable. It could have been a good show if the right people
We're asking if Fournier
and the right fights had been shown.
should Fournier fight Bellew next? That's,
Yeah, that's what it's
a light heavyweight with 4 belts. Should you take on the cruiserweight guy? Fine.
They're the sort of people we should be looking to fight next. Yeah.
So there's a few comments we've had on here. I'll kind of roll them up into one about the production from Dave. Obviously, Steve and I were there, so I can't really comment. I haven't spent 3 hours of my life watching it back, I'm going to be honest.
You didn't waste 3 hours of
You
your life
saved
there.
that, saved that. The problem was there was more advertisements than there was boxing.
First
Every
hour
5
was
minutes,
nothing.
watching American television, there was an advertisement every few, and it was just. I
Comment-
really wanted to see those
this
faces.
is comment about the production. I haven't watched enough of it on telly to.
No.
I've watched bits of it, so I don't. But it didn't look great. From
They had a
what
lot
I've
of
been
space they
told,
could
from
have
what I've been
filled
told.
up with boxing, which is what
Yeah.
people wanted to see. It was the boxing. It seemed to the first 20 minutes or 25 minutes, I think it was all adverts. There was like 5 minutes of them talking, and straight away for an advert from however many minutes long it was. It was more adverts than anything else.
But obviously there is an issue where I guess financially they've got to get advertisers to play the cover.
So
cover
we
the
show
shop.
the fights later
So
on.
you have got an issue, and I think at the end of the day, and my view is this: if we were faced with that many adverts, and it doesn't always, because when you watch X Factor, it's the same.
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
if you are stuffed with that many adverts, but you're getting good boxing quality in between that's worth watching, I think we can stomach that.
Yeah.
I think when you've got all the adverts and yet people say, "Well, I don't like what I'm watching," there's nothing. I think that's the problem. You can't do both because it will turn people off.
But even like they did do, like the Floyd Moore fight, like you said we was chatting earlier, the Floyd Moore fight, they showed the first 3 rounds, he got knocked on his arse, made a good comeback and won it on points. You didn't see none of that. You saw the first 2 rounds, you saw him get dropped on his arse, he went away to an advert, come back and his arms in the air.
Yeah, it's not great.
No,
it's not great.
silly things like that. He could have
It's not
showed
great.
different rounds and then the result.
Yeah, it's not great.
Jeffrey Hines, evening Jeffrey, saying, what a great referee though for the Fournier fight.
That was the best part, Jeffrey. Both of you turned it off.
I think he's a great ref. I'm not so sure about his judging of the Mullen DeMarcum fight though.
or the Conroy Goodwin fight either. Goodwin should have 2 points deducted for punching in the nuts.
Comment from Max Pudgeon about Floyd Moore on Saturday wasn't great, needs to step it up now, surely.
It wasn't good enough. I mean, Floyd, I love Floyd. I'm really good friends with him as well as boxing, but he was rubbish. And he won the fight, but he's so much better than that.
I think he's better when he's got a better opponent.
But I'll tell you what, and I'll tell you this, if he fights like that on the 9th of July, Michael Devine wins.
Yeah.
No doubt. He will lose his title to Michael Devine, so he needs to get off his arse and get himself motivated, because that isn't good enough. He's far better than that, and he will lose his title if he fights like that again.
Don't get much more honest than that from a manager.
And I love him to bits,
Yeah, good
and I'm sure he will get it right, but he has to.
Yeah,
He is better now. When he's got a better opponent for it, I think he steps it up,
Yeah.
but he's got to be ready for it.
Blaine Courtney, who's already said,
Another.
this
Great fighter who should be pro, he's too lazy.
Adrian
Good
Fat
mate
Boy
of ours.
Liam. This is his comment to you. And Adrian Martin, hello from Tenerife. I hope everything's all right with your missus. I've seen your photos. It's not, well, looking at your missus is good, but looking at the operation she had done to her, not so much. So I hope you're having a good holiday, mate. Blaine Courtney, Floyd made a silly mistake having boxed the guy before and watching out for that shot cost him previously, made him overcautious.
No, Floyd came in too heavy. Let's be realistic. The fight was made at 9 stone 12, and we moved. I mean, I'm always honest, right? And we moved the fight up to 10 stone at Floyd's request. The other guy comes in and weighs at 10 stone 5.
Yeah.
Thank God, because Floyd was 10 stone 4. Now Floyd is not a 10 stone 4 fighter, and every time he fights at that weight, he never performs. Now we are lucky that Vasilev came in at 10 stone 5, because if Vasilev had come in at 10 stone, there'd have been no fight.
Yeah.
So that's how bad the situation was. So he got away with it, and I thought he won the fight clearly, but he's far better than that, and we can't.
I think sometimes if you a fight's made higher, like usually fight, I don't think you do the extra work.
Yeah, but you can't.
When you have to make that extra 5 or 6 pounds, you have to be extra fit.
So lack of discipline.
But you can't miss. You cannot miss your prep fight at the O2 by £4.
Yeah.
When the fight, when you're more than £2 over, the fight would be scrapped. A normal foreign boxer who came in at 10 stone would say, "I'll have my money, thank you, and I'm off."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that you can't have that happen.
Daniel Woodgate, evening Dan. I haven't seen the show yet, but it didn't sound great. That said, boxing on TV, however it gets there is good for the sport. David produced 2 boxing shows. I'm sure they'll get it right eventually. Sky Sports didn't get it right straight away. It's fair enough.
Comment on that?
I think it's a fair comment, really. I think, bear with him about how many more hay fights will be on Dave. I suppose until he gets a big one, would be my guess, when there's a big fight. Adrian Martin, she's much better, thanks. Good, I'm glad she is, mate. Keep putting those photos up. Blaine Courtney, I've been in the pubs looking for Josh Goodwin.
I'll tell you what, he's been drinking a bit as well, old Josh.
Has he?
Yeah.
Has he? That's naughty. Fighting in November. Paul Hughes, didn't expect to log in and see Danny Dyer with the laptop. I'll take that. I think we're far worse than that.
Cameron's doing him loads of favours.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Steve, question from the Goodwin Boxing. What do you think of Miles Shinkwin calling out Joel McIntyre on Twitter? I think Joel wins the rematch by knockout.
Okay, first issue with calling out Joel McIntyre is Miles is in a promotional deal with the Warrens, as far as my understanding is concerned. That makes calling out Joel much more problematical. I think at the end of the day, Joel's going to rebuild. Miles Shinkwin has just fought for a British title. He's fighting Eric McConzo, one of our fighters, on the 4th of June. I have all the respect in the world for Miles, but I don't really understand why he's calling out Joel McIntyre, who's going to make his own way with us, and we're going to rebuild him back up and get him active again. I just don't. He beat Joel in the first fight for the Southern area. I don't see why he wants to revisit old ground at this stage. For what? I mean, there's no need to hold a title. Tom Baker's got the English. Jack Morris is fighting Kelvin Young for the Southern area, and Buglioni's obviously sitting in the middle of everything, and Jose Alberto's got the British. But I think that may be a fight we can do down the line, but I just don't see why Miles is calling him out. I mean, Miles could be calling out Tom Baker, which I think is realistic. Jose Alberto, Frank Buglioni, Joel, they're all good fights for Miles. But at the end of the day, when it's not Miles that makes the decision, at the end of the day, it's his manager. Richard Clark is a great manager, and he's obviously signed promotion with Frank Warren, so they make all his career decisions. So it's a bit odd to call people out when you're not in control of who you fight and when you fight. So I don't actually see what it gains, and I don't see what they fight for. Okay,
Mikey Dowling, Shannon, or Hay, will it happen?
Yes.
Yes, it will happen.
September.
I think Hay all day long for me. Paul Hughes, we touched on it earlier, so I'll quickly skip over it. Frank Buglioni, great signing, always been a top ticket seller. What's the plan? So as you're saying,
well, it's not for him to sell. His ticket sales are not as great. Not going to be as great as they were when he was before, because he's coming off a couple of losses. But he's still a very, very popular fighter. He sells plenty of tickets, but I've not signed him as a ticket seller for our shows. I want to get this clear. It's not a fan. I'm there to manage Frank through his career and hopefully towards British and beyond. So the fact he's a ticket seller is not relevant to what he's bringing to the table to me. I'm going to be managing him on other people's shows, so it's not. That's
not for your benefit.
It's not. No, it's about helping Frank, and I want to. I've delivered English champions. I've delivered Southern Area champions. I've helped Mickey Amu to deliver a Commonwealth champion. I helped him, and now Richard Commey's got a world title fight, and I want to basically deal with Frank at those levels if he's good enough, and hopefully he will be.
Neil McHugh, what's happening with Andrea Kropaldi?
He had medical issues, and he's still got medical issues. So we're waiting to see whether he's going to be cleared to box. That's purely a medical issue.
Excellent. All right. Mark Dunlop, high, all interesting stuff. Excellent. Good.
Now, Mark's a brilliant promoter.
Yeah.
Overnight, really, real top promoter overnight. I actually haven't met Mark, but I've watched what he's doing over there, and he's doing a great job. Top man, Mark.
Good man. Right, so we're going to have a quick preview now of the weekend's action. So the main 2 fights. There's an interesting one that Sky have taken. I don't know what your view on this is, but they're showing action on the Saturday and the Sunday night because of it being the bank holiday weekend. So they're in Scotland for Ricky Burns on Saturday, and then they're in Liverpool for Tony Bellew on the Sunday. So firstly, in terms of like a strategy, how is that to do it over 2 nights? That must be logistically a nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a smart man. He knows what he's doing. And he obviously thinks it's going to work. And you've got to remember, it's Sky that gives the dates. But I think at the end of the day, Weekend of Boxing is something new, novel.
Yeah. He's
taking boxing to new, different platforms. I think he's doing a great job. And he obviously he's not a silly man. They know what they're doing there. Matching professional outfit, they know what they're doing. So it will work for them, I guess. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, Tony won't sell Goodison out on Sunday. I think they'll get plenty
I
in
think
there.
12,000 was the last they announced.
Was it? I mean,
12,000.
do you think people? Yeah,
Well, they say they're through 12,000, don't they?
Yeah,
through
they might
12.
open another tier.
yeah. So I mean, 15. I thought 15, 20 max.
That's what Eddie said on Twitter today. Yeah, it's between 15 and 20.
Oh, okay.
Well, the 2 weeks notice as well. It's good going. Isn't it?
I don't know. I don't think that's not bad going at all.
Yeah.
And isn't it great to give a British fighter a chance for a world title on home ground? I just think it's just what you want to see, people delivering opportunities for their fighters, and they've delivered that. And I'm pretty, I'm honest. If I think somebody does something good, I say it. If I think somebody does something bad, not everything Matchroom do is great, but I think they do try and get their fighters the right opportunities.
Yeah. So looking at Ricky Burns versus Michel De Rocco up in Scotland on Saturday night. Who's got any thoughts on it? Let's go to you, Liam.
Another tough fight for Ricky. I haven't been impressed with him the last couple of fights, to be honest.
So he keeps flitting around weights. So he's gone to light welter.
It doesn't seem like he's happy. Don't seem to be finding where his happy ground is. You know, sometimes he looks good, and then he has little bursts of where you see the old Ricky, and another. Then he just gets lazy and seems to get hit a lot.
Yeah.
Seems to be easy to hit now.
So do you reckon he wins?
If he wins, it's going to be a tough fight. I think every fight for him is a tough fight lately. So
Yeah.
I don't think nothing's going to be easy for him anymore. He seems to be forcing it out now. I think he's coming to the end. If he doesn't do something good this weekend, I think really he should think about what he's doing with
Bit of a
himself.
crossroads.
Yeah, for me anyway.
Yeah. JP.
More or less the same. I think the loss he's really suffered after that. He's never seen the same sort of fighter after that. And this the rock.
From which one? I mean, he's had various.
Well, the one where he got really hammered.
It was the Crawford one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Terence Crawford.
He took a hiding, and I don't think he's been the same after that. And this the Rocco was Italian chap. Looks hard as it was hard to know when he could get pushed.
Yeah, he's a bit older, isn't he?
So it's hard to know.
He's got a padded record.
I'd like to see. I'd like to see Ricky do well though, because he's kind of boxer you can like, really, you know.
Yeah.
Just can seem like a decent kind of person. So I'd like to see him do well. It's just which Ricky Burns turns up.
Yeah. Steve?
Well, I thought Ricky Burns was really, really well promoted by the Warrens when they'd done a brilliant job with him.
Until he left.
Until he left, obviously, you can read about that if you want. But they did a brilliant job in terms of planning the fights, the world titles. They did that really well, and you've got to say, you've got to give them credit for that. Matchroom probably didn't match him particularly well at the start, but I've got to say, what a brilliant piece of promoting, managing, looking after him to create that, to get him a world title opportunity at home again. And it's brilliant to give him that chance. He's probably got the weakest opportunity that you could possibly get.
Yeah.
They've delivered him the easiest one.
So this is the one that Broner had, but he lost it on the scale. So this was going to be a regular fight, and they've turned it into a super whatever.
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for him. I think he'll win. I'm not saying he'll hold the title for very long.
Yeah.
But I think there is a chance of Ricky Burns winning at Scotland Yard. I've never really met him. He's supposed to be a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I hope he wins.
Yeah. No, similar really. I just want to quickly fire off a couple of these questions before I forget to. So Daniel Woodgate, an ex-Waddy Camacho opponent. Genuine question, why is Waddy fighting Danny Cousins? Is it just to get another fight in whilst waiting for bigger titles? Because although it's a low-risk fight, surely it doesn't add anything to Waddy's progression.
Okay, right. To answer that, at the moment, Matty Askin who's the English champion, was defending his title, but that wasn't on the horizon. At the end of the day, we offered the fight to Robin Dupre, who we thought was a serious contender 9-0, and his manager Mickey Elliott declined the fight. I'm not sure whether that was, I'm not sure why he turned it down, but he did. So the point was, Danny Cousins wanted the fight. He's won his last 2 fights, so he's entitled to his opportunity. He qualifies to fight for the Southern area. He will come and give it a real go. So what do you do? If he doesn't defend his title, he fights a 6th rounder. The point is, it's pointless. So he may as well defend his title. If he wins, and what I'm going to say, I manage both fighters, so I'm not going to. And if Waddy wins, then he will then probably move on to other things. As Waddy has said, he treasures the Southern Area belt. He wants to keep it for as long as possible. And if anybody wants to challenge him for it, he'll defend it against them. So he can't be fairer than that. So he's got a defence. So it's not really a strategy as such, Dan. And Danny deserves his chance as well. So.
Yeah. There you go, Dan. Hopefully that clears it up. Blaine Courtney would love Ricky to win, no disrespect to either man, but it's a European title fight at best. I think that sums it up pretty well. So then we'll move on to Sunday night, and you've got Tony Bellew against Makabu. So, Does anyone know anything about Makabu other than YouTube clips of him knocking people out?
A lot of KOs.
Spark out.
Go down his record, it's KO,
Yeah.
TKO, but like we said, it's in
Africa.
Africa,
yeah.
We had this argument, didn't we, with Andy Collar, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where the guy didn't get rid of him.
Yeah,
And
Barroso, wasn't it?
Yeah, Barroso, and he only had the KO. He had it for about 4 or 5 rounds. I think this guy probably a little bit better than Barroso, but I think
And is it that Bellew's a little bit worse than Crawler? Look at it the other way.
Well, I think I'm not sure Tony Bellew. I think it's a tough fight for him. I think Makubu is a southpaw, and that's a big issue.
He can obviously bang because he's banged. His whole record is knockouts.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, even though you don't know the level of the class of the fight, because obviously they're over there, they are positive fighters. He's fighting all the time, 20-2 and all that sort of thing, 20 odd fights. So he can obviously bang a bit. I don't think Bellew's as good as he was anyway.
I think the cruiserweight division in general is full of heavy punches.
Yeah.
Like whichever route he'd have taken would have ended up, for a title to fight somebody like Shumanov.
And he's another one who seems to get hit a lot more now than he used to as well. Seems to be a lot more static, doesn't he, to move and box as good as he did.
Yeah. JP?
Never really hit the dizzy heights. I think Tony Bellew, he'll only go so far as I think. I don't think he's really that big world level kind of fighter. He's obviously failed any time he's tried to step up to it. So.
Let's quote him on that next week.
Yes, I do. But I don't know. I don't know a lot about this guy. We looked at his record. He has knocked a lot of people out, but it depends how good they were. But you still have to go in and do the job once you get in the ring. So it'll be definitely an interesting one to watch. But if he's half as good as he seems, I think that he's going to get
Ice
Right.
at
Ice.
Goodison Park under the lights. I love it because I'm not a massive Bellew fan. There you go.
I paid a lot of money to watch his silly fight with Cleverly up in Liverpool.
Yeah.
Let down.
Yeah. Okay. Danny Cousins.
Hi, Dan.
Dan, I've had cruiserweight prospects not wanting to fight me. I'm sure you can back that up.
Okay, I mean Danny will.
Danny's a tough man, and he'll come
isn't
to
he?
fight.
He'll come
to fight. He'll come. Don't worry about Danny. He'll come to have a war. He won't be. He
won't
won't be lying down like a lot of them that would have took the fight would have done. Do you know what I mean? He'll come to fight.
So when he's got a tough night.
And Danny deserves his chance.
Danny's no mug. He's a tough guy.
Yeah.
Richard Sims. I think Bellew will get KO'd. He's ordinary at best. I wouldn't entirely disagree with you there, mate. Right, so we're going to have a quick look at the bets of the week. So last week, I went with David Hay KO first round. Now, I ought to be able to claim like a moral victory on that, because if he'd have wanted to KO him, he could. But he'd have faced so much public backlash, he just didn't. And that's so abundantly clear. There you go. And you lot, I think, all won, didn't you?
Because
So,
we
yeah,
thought
1 to 4.
Yeah.
1 to 4.
That was a great bet. That was just easy money last week.
What we at? We got Josh now, and I don't understand the algorithm behind this, but whatever. Josh is winning, so if we had £100 each week, I think, so Josh would have £133.91. Kevin and Steve would both be minus £40.45, and I'd be homeless, I think. So don't follow my betting practices. Right, so looking at bets that we got this week. So Steve, you've gone for Makabu at 4 to 6.
4 to 6, yeah.
By any method?
By any method, yeah.
Okay. Kev, who's not with us today, so Kev, hope you're watching, having some time off at home. He's gone for Makabu KO at 5 to 4, which I think, if he's going to win, it's probably, based on his record, going to be knockout. Josh has gone Tyrone Nurse, who's fighting on the Ricky Burns undercard versus Willie Limon at 4 to 11. And I've gone for Ricky Burns on points at 8 to 11, so don't take that one. I'm useless. Kevin, I am watching, mate. Evening, Kevin. Chill out. Right, so we're going to go move on. You can't chill out now because Liam's going to speak. And
He's going to start
I've heard his
stuttering.
language. So, Liam Conroy, who, for want of a better term, and because there's someone sat between us, you're a journeyman.
Yeah.
So you can't reach me from there, right? So I have a fascination with journeymen. I've shared with people at home. I have a love for the likes of Chris Lane, Moses Matuvu. I think there's such an art.
Right.
Yeah, there's an art to, and to clarify for people at home, a journeyman is somebody that essentially goes out on the road and takes on fighters, prospects, takes them through the rounds. How can we say this nicely? It doesn't always look to win necessarily, although I'm sure that probably isn't allowed to be said. I don't know. But as much as you're
I
at a
find a
level.
lot of the time we're matched higher than our level anyway.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
So you're at a level whereby you know how good you are, and those people you're fighting, you're there to keep them off in their career, and so they're likely going to beat you.
Yeah.
Is that the best? Is that a
Yeah,
nice succinct?
You'd have to do a lot to win on points. Let's put it that way. Do you know what I mean? There's fights I've had. I mean, I'm not. You like you say, Matthew Seawright, Christian Lane, people like that, they're legends. You know what I mean? They've had 150, 200 fights. Because Chris Lane makes it look easy. He barely gets hit.
Yeah.
Matthew Seawright's the same. He's unlucky to get a cut there the other day and he's out 28 days. But they make it look easy. I actually go and try and have a fight. Do you know what I mean? It's just the fact that I'm probably not as fit as I should be, and a lot of the boys I fight, I usually get matched with good lads.
Yeah.
You know, maybe because I come to fight, I don't know. But it is hard going. People don't realise, you know.
Yeah.
We're up against it. We turn up with our kit bag and our train. They turn up with 200 of their mates, chiseled to hell. You know what I mean? Probably some of the boys I've boxed were full time pros.
Yeah.
I boxed Joe Duffy as my debut, and he was training 6-7 days a week, 3 times a day, sponsored, not working. You know, one of the only men to beat Conor McGregor in a cage. So that's the sort of things you're dealing with.
So what does your training entail then? So I mean, how often do you fight? Because a lot of gentlemen will fight every week.
A lot of the good journeymen like Christian Late and Matty Seawright, I mean, they're brilliant. They fight nearly every other week. Christian Late, for example, will fight every week if you
Mr.
get enough.
Reliable.
Yeah, that's why he's got it in his shorts. You can ring him up today to fight tonight and he'd be on weight, you know. I've had 4 this year. It's been quiet this year, hasn't it, at the start, hasn't it? It's been quiet. All the boys have been quiet.
Yeah.
So I've had 4 so far this year, but I got stopped on Saturday night against
Just starting to
Big
get a
Lad.
little bit busy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a dodgy stoppage, to say the least. But
So when you get stopped, you're not allowed to fight for 28 days to the head, is it?
28-day layoff, yeah.
Is that for body as well? Were there different rules
I
between
think
head
any
and
stoppage,
body?
isn't it?
It's 28 and 45 if it's a really
Yeah,
serious.
standard
If
is
you're wiped
28
out.
days, yeah.
Okay. So when you came into professional boxing, was your ambition to do that, or was your ambition to build a winning record, go on and challenge for titles? And
Well, what was with me, my background was, I came back to boxing probably in 2010 because I was nearly 20 stone and my old man died and I thought I need to get fit. So I started getting fit and went back into unlicensed boxing. Started off doing tickets, found it was hard work.
so
And
by
then
doing tickets, you mean you went out
selling
selling?
tickets and taking fights. But then it got to the point where I was just fighting all over the country on an unlicensed circuit, just fighting anybody. Just same thing like a journeyman, just turning up and fighting anybody and going for the win,
Yeah.
not always winning. And someone said to me one day, why don't you go on the road? It was actually Michael Devine, I think, said it to me. Why don't you go on the road? He was with James Pacey at the time. So I said, well, all right, I'll do that. But my intention was always to go and fight. Do you know what I mean? Go there to fight and try and win. But obviously it doesn't always work out like that. So
Yeah.
But yeah, my thing was to go there and try and win. But I was going to sign with James Paisley first, but then things weren't working out with training. I went with Frank and Johnny Greaves. Obviously, they're experts at the journeyman thing.
Yeah.
And I had my first fight with Joe Duffy. Got stopped. It was probably a silly stoppage. It was Kieran McCann's last fight as a trialist, as they call him, and his last fight. First shot I got hit with really in the 3rd round. Went down, got up. He stopped it straight away. So I had 28 days off. And in 28 days, I got my act together and got my weight off. The next fight was against Diego Burton on your show. And then I started taking it serious, but I've been riddled with injuries. I had a year out of a snap bicep and then other problems with my back, so I haven't been as busy as the good journeyman, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So as a journeyman, have you got more to offer than what you show in the ring? Because that's often like,
I think-
not a criticism, but a comment about seeing journeymen.
Even last year, I had 6 fights last year. The fights I had last year, at least 4 of them I could have beaten if I'd have been in the proper shape that I could have been. Do you know what I mean? It was my fault that I didn't. There's lads like Christian Late. Christian Late is a good boxer. Do you know what I mean? Christian Late could go and beat a lot of lads. Not saying he doesn't try and go and beat them because that'd be wrong to say, but there's other fights I've seen him fight where he has won and not got the decision. Same with a lot of lads. He boxed the other week actually, someone put a report up saying that he'd done enough to win.
Yeah.
So it's not always, sometimes you're not just against the boxer and his team, sometimes you're against the referee and the fact that they're a hungry fighter as well.
Yeah.
That's what people forget, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes you should be sharing rounds and not getting given to you.
Yeah. Do you ever take? I mean, I've got like Moses Matuvu is one of my favourite boxers.
Yeah, tough man.
Tough man, but I love he's there. He knows he's wrong. Like he knows it's very unlikely he's going to get a point to win out of it, and so he entertains a crowd whilst he's doing it. So you'll see him do an alley shuffle in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
He'll stop and he'll lean on the rope mid-round.
Yeah.
You see him do that to the home
Yeah.
crowd. So the home fighter's got 150 fans or whatever followed him, and he'll wind them up and he plays the part. Do you reckon you're going to get to? Is that something you would ever do?
I think I've started trying to do it a little bit. I did it with Charlie Bearden on your show, didn't I? I did it there. I've done it a couple of other fights. The thing with me, I think I'm still learning my trade. Do you know what I mean? I had very limited amateur thing and done a lot of unlicensed, and I think my first few fights I got too involved with actually going to have a war with them, you know. And certain fights you should know not to get too involved. Do you know what I mean? Get through, get your rounds under your belt, and go and make your money. And that's the bit I'm starting to learn now with these silly stoppages and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. So you're learning your trade.
Still, yeah.
Liam Griffiths doing a great job, gentlemen. Full respect to my fellow roadman, Mr. Conroy.
He's another great journeyman as well. Great lad. And when he wants to win, he wins. You know.
Yeah. Neil McHugh. I thought Chris Lade beat Nelson on the last Goodwin show. I think that's the one you were referring to.
That's the one. Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing you often see, like if anybody out there and have a read of them, because they're quite interesting as a boxing fan perspective, like they're board circulars, and you quite often see they call up, say, Christian Lade before the board, and it'll say like limited to 4x3 minutes.
The rule book says that after 4 losses you should be called up by the board, but they don't always call you up for on 4 losses. Sometimes it can be for 1. As it was said to me by Mick Collier when I was called up at the start of the year.
Right.
I said, do you know why you're here? I said, because you're 4-fight rule. He said, no, I'll call you up after 1 fight if I want. It depends how you perform. And he said, I'd had 11 fights when they called me up, or 12 fights I think it was. He said, you've been spoke about twice, but not brought up, because obviously maybe because I'd had a good fight after that and had a good performance. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they can call you up anytime they want. It doesn't have to be 4 fights.
Okay.
That's just the guideline.
What does it actually mean to call you up? You have to go to meet.
Call you up, you go into the meeting.
Yeah.
They want to know. They want to see your training diaries. They want to see your food diaries. They want to see how you're keeping your weight. They want to know where you've been training, who you've been training with, why you're losing, and I think more to the thing it is they're making sure you're looking after yourself.
Yeah.
It's not the fact you're losing for. They know why you're there. It's not. It's kind of unspoken of why you're there, but they know that it's more that you're looking after your health. They called me up after my stoppage against Paul Hills. I'd been ill anyway. I had 3 fights in 4 weeks. I'd been ill right through. I got stopped against Paul Hills. Silly. I shouldn't have gone into the fight, but I got called up. When they called me up in the middle of the thing, I said to them, I was saying to them, look, I enjoy boxing. I started doing it because of my weight, blah, blah, blah. I had a heart scare, and that was the wrong thing to say in the meeting. But also, it's probably the right thing to say, because I'd had a heart scare in 2009. They jumped on it, made me get a stress echocardiogram done. So, in my opinion, everyone said, oh, yeah, but they've stopped you fighting for the last 3 months. But, yeah, but I'm glad they did it. At least they were taking the time to make sure my health was okay. And now I know it is, because I've had that test done, you know?
Yeah. So it's a precautionary act.
One like mine, they were right to do, because they didn't know. I just said, oh, I had a heart scare, and that was it. They wanted proof to know that I was okay. I believe in that. But people like Christian Lade that get called up sometimes and he doesn't get a mark on him.
Yeah.
I know you're covering your ass, but what's the point sometimes, you know?
Yeah. So how important is it then, from your perspective, because you want to be out as often as possible, to have a manager? Because Steve is your manager. How does that work for you then, in terms of having a manager? Because often, I suppose, boxing fans think of a manager as being someone that's guiding them to titles and to. But for yourself, it's a slightly different angle from it, I guess.
Even I was with Carl Greaves previously, and Carl was good to me as well. But since I've been with Steve, Steve's like, he's turned down a couple of fights for me as well, because they're not the right fights. Do you know what I mean? Been offered good money for them, but are they the right fights you want to do? So I have to have trust in him. He's all looking after me. There's certain fights you take and certain fights you don't, sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
But then he has to trust me that when I say I'm fit. That's the other side of things, you know.
Which you are. I think
I've been eating cake for the last week.
I saw a comment saying somebody had seen you in KFC yesterday. So, that food diary's going to be... Get the tip eggs out, Liam.
I eat KFC anyway. But...
Richard Sims, really interesting. I find him fascinating, that role.
The good ones, if you're invited to get a proper perspective, speak to people like Christian Lade and Matthew Seawright, they're really like the godfathers of it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They make it look so easy, do you know what I mean?
And Christian Lade, I was saying this to JP earlier, actually, off camera, about he was fighting Dave Birmingham the other week down on a Goodwin show. And if any boxer out there ever needed defensive training, they should go and see Christian Lade. He fights out at half guard, so he keeps the arm tucked in, he keeps the glove up there and just takes it to the body occasionally.
And the sound of those shots David Birmingham was hitting with.
Yeah, snapping into his body.
But you watch Christian Lade, I think he rides a lot of the shots as well. He sees them coming, he takes them, you know what I mean?
That's a real art to doing that. Like any boxer out there, I'd say go and spend some time with Christian Lade and learn how to defend. But right, if you've got any questions though for Liam, then fire them away and we'll catch up with them shortly. But thank you, I find it fascinating, Liam, so thank you. So we're going to come on now to JP. So for those out there, JP Smith has a very, very vested interest in boxing in Luton, boxing in general, but bringing it down to a slightly narrower region of Luton. So give people out there an idea then of what it is that you do covering.
Well, I think it was January this year. I just started. I made a Twitter account called Boxing Luton just to get us started off, and I know Liam through family, so I do often go and watch Liam boxing. And I just started contacting a few of the boxers to see how interested they'd be and kind of interacted and see what they wanted to do, and it just kind of went from there really. I started up with a little dodgy Boxing Luton picture of the town hall and all this, and then one of Liam's friends actually sent me a message on Twitter and made me this big fantastic logo, and it just kind of went from there. I was sitting somewhere one day, I just sent a quick message to the Luton lady, said, "Oh, do you fancy would you like me to write some articles for you in boxing?" And instead of going, "Nah, you're alright," they were, "Yes please." They were like, "I'm going to have to do some writing,
Got to do it now. Right.
So it's basically, it just kind of went from there, and I've just been going to watch some of the amateur boxing, obviously coming to York Hall to see Steve shows, and just going out and visiting the boxers in the gym. And because it's just quite Luton, for its town with about 200,000 people, it's had a world champion already in Billy Schweer, and you had Graham Earl, who was Commonwealth champion as well. Now, obviously, you've got Michael Devine fighting there, you've got Kay Prosper, who fought on Saturday night. Don't talk to me about that. I wanted to see him on TV. And you've got amateurs and Jordan Reynolds in that as well. So, and then Lila Shudofi as well. So, I just really started to get into it once I started contacting the boxers, because I couldn't believe just how approachable they were.
Accessible. And
honestly, I expected it to be all sorts of differences between them, that they didn't know each other, but they all have so much respect for each other. It absolutely blew my mind, you know. Even Kay and Michael, who you like to think are on some sort of collision course to fight eventually, they have the utmost respect for each other, you know, and it's brilliant. But I've really, really enjoyed it, and going to get some t-shirts printed for some people as well. Going to give to the boxers; they're all interested to wear them. And it's just it's a little bit of fun, but it's really, really good. And there's a really good scene boxing movement in the town at the moment.
Yeah.
And I've said to Steve before, my ambition really is I would love to see a fight again at Kenilworth Road. And it's been 2018. It'll be 30 years. I mean, imagine that. I mean, Barry McGuigan fought there 30 years ago. You know, that's how. No, it's just one of those things that really.
Good to see. No pressure.
It would be brilliant.
The thing is, what we need to do that. I mean, we just need professional boxing in Luton to develop, and more guys want to turn pro.
Yeah.
And obviously, we look after now 3 boxers in Luton. I think Michael is the only professional in Luton that we don't look after.
So you've got Liam,
Kay,
Linus.
yeah. So hopefully, as more boxers turn pro in Luton.
There's another lad, Mohammed Mustafa, but he's
not with us. He's with Joe Alfie. Yeah. So it's logistically more of a problem if the boxers are all managed by different people, because you can't pull it all together so easily. So, you know, hopefully more boxers will come to Luton and they'll work with us, and then we can work to building a big show in Luton. But you only really control a boxer's career if you're managing them, because other than that, it's very, very difficult sometimes. It depends. You can't actually get, you're not all on the same hymn sheet sometimes.
Yeah. So can you build, if there were more and more from Luton, you could build a regionalised little hub, so you're more likely to get a show on.
Yeah, there's no reason you can't do. There's no reason you couldn't do that, and it is about getting more boxers in Luton turning professional and working with us.
Yeah.
So a lot of the problem with Luton as well is there isn't a pro gym in Luton, except for Mervyn Turner.
Yeah.
There is no other places.
So there's Hockwell, which
Hockering's is amateur, Academy's amateur.
That's going to turn pro. Hockwell Ring is going to go pro.
I mean, Linus has come through there, Kay has come through there, and they're producing some fantastic fighters.
They're dedicated to Hockering.
Very good.
Yeah, the great people, Paul Webb down a great guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we hope. We want to develop. I don't see any reason we can't do it, but we just need, you'd be wanting to do it in the next 18 months, really.
Yeah, so ideally then it would be Kay versus Michael Devine.
Potentially on cut, or it could. The thing with Kay and Michael Devine, if Kay wins his fight on the 16th of July, which I think he will, and if Michael gets beaten though by Floyd Moore on the 9th, you've probably got a situation where the bird has flown.
Yeah.
Because Michael's going to be at a much lower level than Kay.
Yeah.
So it might be more difficult to make it, but it may be possible.
Yeah.
But it's going to be sooner rather than later. I think if you go into next, if Michael wins, it might be different. But I think that's a fight where if you're doing it at the football ground, it had to be done this year, and we did offer the Kay fight to Michael. But I understand why they didn't take. So I'm not saying Michael's scared of Kane, not for 1 second.
No.
But they chose a different route.
Yeah.
And they went for Floyd, and their view was that Floyd's an easier fight. So I get that. That's their call. But the point is the fact of having an opportunity to do it this year will have passed.
Yeah.
So then it moves to next year.
Yeah.
And a lot can change in boxing.
Yeah, I think the Floyd Moore fight, Michael will agree. I know he's fighting on the Mickey Elliott show on the 4th of June, and he's boxing in Ireland.
Yeah.
I think even Michael, when I spoke to him, that is his make or break fight. We're going to know what level Michael Devine is at.
Yeah, I think that's really fair.
Yeah.
I think it's really
so
fair.
we'll see. But nobody wants him to fight Kane more than me, like, because they're both excellent. But
That's
that would be a make or break situation.
An injury as well.
He
So
was, he's 7
it's a good
months
fight
with his
for him
hand.
to get himself back.
I think he'll have more confidence after watching Floyd on Saturday if he saw any of it. So, but I think it's going to be a good atmosphere. I mean, the fight in Portsmouth. I don't know if you've ever been to Portsmouth. You'll come to that.
Yeah.
You have never experienced anything like this.
Where is that?
In Portsmouth, it's going to be in the Liquid Envy. You will never have experienced an atmosphere like you walk in. Michael better have a crash helmet. Not that everybody.
You better have a crash helmet. I've been sat ringside for Floyd's fights, and like his army of fans that have almost crushed me as I'm sat reporting.
It's 3 times as bad in Portsmouth. It's like. But it's going to be a great atmosphere and a great fight. And I like Michael, and I wish him all the best as well. He's a great kid.
Kevin Campion, I just need to interlude briefly. Kevin Campion at home. Liam is the ugliest female guest we've had on the show so far.
Have we
got the hot or not for him?
No, we haven't, sadly. So, one last one for you then, JP. So, you have ties to Steve, as he's relatively local to Luton. You chatted with him, you go and attend his shows, he's got Luton fighters.
Yeah.
His fighter is Floyd Moore down in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Who's fighting Michael Devine from Luton. Where will your loyalties be that night?
Just to remind you, we're called Boxing Luton. No, not boxing. I don't know. I mean, I actually spoke to
Don't send the fence, bollocks. Give us an answer.
No. I want Michael Devine, of course.
There we go.
But no, I did speak to him because you introduced me to Floyd Moore, didn't you, at the Goodwin show on the last show, and he was really nice to deal with. And I'm quite surprised because him and Michael kind of know each other as well. And again, what I'm saying before is that I was surprised with boxing how they all kind of know each other. And you spoke about all these other journeymen, and you all kind of clicked together. But there are 2 of them are going to be. That could be a full-out war.
It will be a war.
Yeah. And if Floyd clicks Michael, I think Michael's biggest problem is he does not want to get drawn into a fight because I know Mervyn Turner will be saying, calm down. It used to be his plan A was go out there. That's got to be his plan B now. So if Floyd catches him,
Let me tell you something now. Let me tell you Michael Devine will not go to Portsmouth in that atmosphere and try and box. He might try, but as soon as he gets chopped on the chin by Floyd, he'll come back. Because Michael's a proper warrior.
Yeah, he is.
They can both bang as well.
And a proper fighter. I don't care how much work Mervyn Turner does with him. Promise you, round 2, 3, it'll be a war.
And he'll take a good following down there with him as well.
Yeah, he will. It'll be a great atmosphere.
Michael's got a great loyal following. Himself.
Liam said Michael will take some.
He'll take 150 scores down with him. He's from a
Easy.
good estate in Luton where everybody knows everybody and they all back each other up to the hill.
It's a great fight.
Yeah, and they will follow him down there.
And Joe, what you don't want down there is the supporters getting angry with each other because both of the lads like each other.
Yeah.
It's a fight, and at the end of the day, both had to be mates. So you want the supporters to enjoy it in the right spirit down there. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. And Floyd is one of the nicest fighters that I've ever come across. He's such a sound young man. So good behaviour down there, please, Jason Moore, if you're watching. I see you. Right, Richard Sims, can't wait for the 9th of July. Nice small venue. Hope Floyd can do it. And my good mate Dave Birmingham. Birmingham. Sports Shutter Lady Laura. Shout out to Boxing Luton. There you go.
Yeah.
Tracy Smithers. Haha, Michael Devine is good. Floyd will have his hands full. I don't think anyone can argue that necessarily.
That fight can go either way because they're both like Steve just said there. Michael can be a great boxer, but I think when atmosphere and it starts fighting, them two will go to war. They'll be a great fight. And they can both bang a bit and they can both take a shot.
I will be really shocked if he goes a distance.
I don't think they'll go distance. One of them will go, or the referee has to step in. They'll go to war. It'll start off all good, and that'll be it. The Luton's lot will start screaming, the Bulls lot will start screaming. That'll be war.
Try and get your job on there.
You're going to be working doors. Tracy Smithers, no one wants a Tom Dallas versus Lewis and fan situation again. Haha, chairs flying around.
That wasn't great, was it?
Yeah, no, we'll not make light of that. Okay, so we're going to have a quick look through the tweets of the week from this week. There was a cracker today put out by George Groves, so I don't know how well you can see that or not. Him and Martin Murray had a head-to-head earlier, building up to their fight on the Joshua undercard, and somebody, Paul Foden, had tweeted, Groves wearing his cheap suit again, looks like he works for a funeral home. To which George Groves replied, it's a Tom Ford suit, mate. Send me your account details and I'll send you the bus fare so you can look at one in Harrod's window. So taking no grief. Jamie Sanagar, that's an interesting one. So during the week, Josh Warrington, it came out, he's not going to fight Lee Selby. Like Lee Selby wanted to fight him at Ellen Road, and Josh Warrington's getting married, so he can't fight him apparently.
Right.
And so Jamie Sanagar pulled up these tweets from Josh Warrington to Lee Selby saying, "I'll look forward to it, sweetheart. Will you come to Leeds?" And this was then Jamie Sanagar pulled this up saying, "Only 3 weeks ago." Quoted this with a really shocked face and then put hashtag runaway bride. Poor lad. Billy Joe Saunders. Oh, I have to put these in chronological order. Oh no, I'm going to have to cover up some of the words as well. I was going to get a black marker pen, I forgot. So he went on a bit of a rant.
Preparation is key, just so you know.
Yeah, he went on a rant earlier in the week about Canelo dropping the belt to Golovkin. So he put 5 tweets out. First one, Alvarez is a little bellend who has no balls. I think I've never said. I've never said once I'll never fight Triple G. I'm here waiting. Number 2. Boxing is becoming... I'm having to read these first. Boxing is becoming a circus, not true-hearted warriors. McGregor versus Floyd is embarrassing for boxing and robbing the public. Stick to UFC.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's bullshit, that is.
Number 3, Eubank Glovers go suck his little penis. Offered to fight and shit himself. His turned down world title opportunities. Hashtag stick to British level. 4, Steve, you might want to cover your ears and eyes at this point. Promoters need to stop getting in the way of big fights. Let them happen. That's out to every promoter in the UK and overseas. Hashtag greedy. And I'll cover the end bit up. Number 5, Triple G can go and fuck himself. I'm ready to fight Triple G boxing. Frank Warren, make it happen in US or England. So yeah, Billy Joe Saunders. I don't know what you make of his view on promoters, Steve.
Well, I don't know. I've never had any dealings with him, so I don't think he can speak from experience with me. So I'll rely that that's all the other ones that he's got dealings with, nothing to do with me.
Okay, last one from Blaine Courtney. Dillian White versus Delboy. Who's your money on, Steve?
Dillian White. Delboy's now just become a gatekeeper.
Yeah, agreed. So I was saying the same thing earlier.
Dylan White made a good comment after the A fight the other night when he was talking. And he was saying about, you were talking earlier about, how's he going to get his rankings fighting shit fight, basically. And Dylan White said the same thing. He's been out for, 2 years?
Yeah.
Done nothing, boxed nobody, and all of a sudden he's back in the thing after fighting 2 bums. They said to him, "What do you think he should be at that ranking?" He said, "No. What about the fighters that have been busy while he's been away? Why are they not up above him?"
The reason for that, by the way, is the WBA rank their former champions when they come back.
Is that what it is?
That's the same reason Shannon Briggs is in there. They rank their own former champions if they become active again.
So who wins Hay versus Joshua?
Hay for me.
Yeah, me too.
In 12 months, I'd say Joshua, possibly.
I'll abstain.
I think Hay would have to do it in 4 or 5 rounds.
I think a better boxer in the Dillian White fight versus Joshua, a better boxer would have taken Joshua down.
A fitter boxer.
A fitter boxer. Because he would have jumped on him and just pounded him into the dust.
He seemed to fluster, didn't he, when he came under pressure?
Yeah.
I've said that all along. I do like Joshua as well, but I think he needs a fighter who's good enough to come forward. And there is fighters higher in rankings that it could go with to test him out. Like Pudlev and all them sort of people, they'll come forward. They won't be scared of his power.
And on that note, did anyone see the Takam Parker commentary where they had Ed Robinson in the studio with Dillian White? I don't know if anyone saw this. They got Dillian White sat there like where you are to me, Steve, and Ed Robinson. After Parker beats Takam, he sits there and says to Dillian White, well, Parker's now got a better record. He's beaten a better fighter than Anthony Joshua's beaten. Dillian White sat next to him. Which, yeah, I don't think Dillian was overly amused about, but there you go. Right, so on that note, we haven't got any more interactions, so I think we'll sign off as we've been here for an hour, taking up more than half of your time. So thank you to Liam and to JP.